So good morning to the
Good morning.
inspiration for the joy of creation and the magic of art, creativity, and play. So
Yes.
I'm so excited to have with me a guest today. Her name is Lisa Grunden. And Lisa, you are a world traveler, you are a healing practitioner, and you use also the tools of access consciousness, you use Theta healing, and so many other things. You have traveled, to so many countries. And so today we are going to talk about beyond normal and what can we create from that space when we don't try to be normal, and what is this even. So what was funny to me was that when I was looking up, I was creating the graphic for today's show, and I was looking for images, and I was literally Googling beyond normal and colorful, and then this image popped up, and I thought, with these beautiful colorful fabrics, and I thought, wow, isn't that amazing, the magic, because I see you as so colorful. You have traveled all these countries where color is actually embraced and worn in fabrics. And so what is normal? And let's dive into this, Lisa. What do you know about the joy of creation? What is that for you?
The joy of creation really let loose when I stopped trying to create something on purpose, intentionally trying to make it look like something. As soon as I stopped doing that, not only on the canvas, not only in writing, not only in where I was going to go, magic just started happening all over the place. So I will tell you one of my stories about decreation that led me to this understanding is I got divorced from my first marriage back in 1993. We separated in 92. So from 1992 to 2010, so for those of you who need a little help with the early morning math, that's 18 years. I serial dated to find a partner. And I mean, even though I was told to relax, I was told not to pay attention. Oh my God, I was on every single dating site. Every person, I'm sure I looked like a barracuda. And because I was trying, making it happen. And I went on lots of dates. I never had a relationship that lasted more than 6 weeks. And most of them didn't last 3 dates. And I mean, it was years that this went on. And, sometimes I showed up for a date confused about which individual I was dating. And then came the day when I just said, 18 years later, when I was just like, okay. And I literally just closed the book on because I had been forcing it for so long, 18 years, forcing it for so long on what it needed to look like. And I just said, okay, I surrender. I closed the book. The very next day, I had a date. Well, I met the guy that I am married to today. We had a date 3 days later. So it was the next day after I surrendered. And I stopped trying to force it. And I'm like, wow, that was so easy. How come I didn't do this before? You know what I mean? And sometimes I think we have to learn the lessons about forcing so that we can let go of forcing. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, that is really cool. What is that entire idea of forcing it? I'm just wondering, how many conclusions do we have about the how to do something, how to create something, also relationships or creating our lives. That's actually really beautiful that you bring this up. Also, relationship is part of the joy of creation, and it's part of the canvas that we are painting our lives as. And so that whole idea of forcing, so you talk about surrender, there was a choice that you made, right? You made a different choice, correct?
Yes, I made a different choice. That's it. And it is that simple. And I was kind of raised to believe that when you made your choice, you just had to stick with it. You had to lay with it and tough it out or whatever. And that's not the way that it is. That's not the way that it is at all. We are free to choose now. and again and again and again. And you know what? We are free to choose to fall in love with our lives. We are free to choose to fall in love with ourselves, with our bodies, with our art, with our spouses. And so many of us, when life hits us and we're not really choosing so much as having the choices made for us sometimes when we're under so much stress and all that kind of stuff, that sometimes we forget about that person that we really fell in love with. And at first it's that person that's in the mirror, that person that we see in the mirror. And then it's that person that we sleep with or that we share our life with or that we intended to share our life with, because magic is all around. And I love how you called this beyond normal, because I don't think for my entire life I really knew what normal was. I think that you and I are probably along a similar path. Everything that I thought was normal apparently isn't. I was talking with a friend one time and I said, maybe I would benefit from living your life for a day and you'd benefit from living my life a day. And she goes, I don't think I could handle it in Lisa land. And I was just like, well, what? I mean, what is so different? Because I think that the only thing that's really different is that we go, yeah, what really happens if I allow myself to enjoy a storm? What really happens if I go to a new restaurant and get a new beverage of choice? Or what really happens if I turn left instead of right? And what really happens if I talk to the person at the register? And what really happens if I pick pink and orange and green and purple and red and put all those colors together? Like the art that you have behind you, is like, what really happens if I decide to put two colors together that nobody else. So I first discovered this when I put together the colors pink and orange. I think we talked once upon a time about the artist that put together pink and orange and red, or pink and orange and yellow. I can't remember.
Yeah, pink and orange and red, which it was actually, even for, there are all these points of view about how to dress. That was a no-no to put these together.
Big no-no. Big no-no.
And so then you chose to wear them together, and then what? What happened?
I was walking, I was strutting down the street. I felt so good. I was walking in Madison, which considers itself to be a very artsy, very hipster, very left-wing kind of town, very progressive. And I was strutting down.
We can talk about that a little more. Yes.
Because even being stuck in that is being stuck. You know what I mean? I didn't realize that for a long time, but even being stuck in that, even being stuck in having to wear all kinds of color, because I love that today you have chosen to wear all black. Because I know as a ruler, it used to be that you didn't use black in your canvases. You mixed other colors to make like a really deep blue or a green that appeared black. And I love how the black outfit that you're wearing totally sets off the art that's behind you. And that even being stuck in having to be colorful is a limitation. So I was strutting down the street, and I was down State Street, which the capital, because Madison's the capital of Wisconsin, the Capitol is on one end, the student union is on the other end. So in the 60s, it was a real radical area. And even in the 2000s, when the war in the Gulf started, it was all the students were getting together and organizing, and I was in the spirit of that and all that kind of stuff. And when you put on a color and you just feel good, you are different. Now, it doesn't mean that your body has changed overnight. It doesn't mean that you've lost 75 pounds or gained 20 or have bigger breasts or thinner thighs or anything like that. However, how you perceive yourself is that you have lost 75 pounds. You do have bigger breasts. You do have thinner thighs. Because all of that is just an illusion anyway. It's just how we feel about it. And so this thing called normal, I don't know, when people talk about normal, it seems that they talk about depressing kind of things.
Yeah, what is this?
How it exists in the real world, in the real world. And, if we really do create our world, and we know we do, even the Dalai Lama said the world will be saved by the Western woman, because she has moved past limitations on a grand scale. And she knows that certain truths, once upon a time, the world was flat. And now we know the world not to be flat anymore. I'm skipping here. I lived in the Middle East for about 5 years. That's quite a story on just following your feet and how not to listen to the normal stuff everyone tells you, and to just go with your guidance. Just go with your guidance, because that's a big thing. So when I lived in the Middle East, 40 years ago, in many countries in the Middle East, the world was still flat. And so they have come up, I mean, really rapidly. They're not on par with how progressive we are in the United States or how progressive we are in many of the Western European countries. However, in a very short time, they have come a very long ways to catch up, to play in the world. And what I really love is this is how it happens, is that the women were wearing their traditional burqas, which are black and are plain. And then you can buy the really expensive high-end Versace burqas that have some bling, all black still. However, they're very expensive and all that kind of stuff. And after a year of living there, and I started interacting more with the Arabic women, I noticed that they were doing things like putting a blue sweater vest over their abaya. They were doing things like a little hint of color here and there. And that's how it changes, that they're like, okay, I can still honor things and wear my abaya, and I can wear this blue sweater vest, and I can wear this beautiful red lipstick, and I can wear these heels that are really, really cool. And I can do a little bit of a design on my burqa, on my abaya, to make it look very different. And I was just like, at once upon a time, everything was black and white over there because the men were white and the women were black. And then I started seeing all these seas of color in the
Yeah, so
women
just let me
outfits.
yeah, that's amazing. Let me just bring this back to being normal. So what is
Mhm.
being normal, and how much are we trying to fit into something that we have decided is the norm? And have you all who are listening right now or who are watching us in the future, hello there, have you ever been normal? And like, what actually can we create when we stop fitting in? When you look at, we were talking about color. Color is a very interesting
Mhm.
area in our life where, like Lisa said, oh, today I'm wearing black. And it is really interesting. My body wanted to wear this
Mhm.
today. And then I play with the lipstick and I play with
Mhm.
a little scarf here. And so, like, what if that becomes a total choice where we create us, we create how we show up in the world, and we use also color to create with us?
Mhm.
What if we play with color? And so, like the no-no we were talking, let me come back to that, the no-no we were talking about in the beginning, combining red and orange and pink, was literally like there are all these sayings that we had, like there, another one is don't combine green and blue, which is such an interesting point of view. Like, really look at the ocean, I mean,
Green
sorry,
and
look at the ocean fish, like red
blue.
and pink, and you know, they
Yes.
throw all the colors together, and how pretty
Mhm.
is it? Until then, I think it was one of these big fashion designers, was it Kenzo or Ferragamo,
Mm.
that that good, was it Gucci? I don't know anymore which one, but one of those haute couture fashion designers came up and they started creating these jackets that were combining pink and red and orange. And how beautiful is it? It is very, the energy, if we also talk energy, when we look at the energy of that, the richness. So when you guys try to fit in and be normal, how much of that richness of choice are you excluding? So now, Lisa, you were lucky, like we were talking a little bit about it in your family. Your mom sort of acknowledged you being so different
Yes.
and joyful. How wonderful is that? So did this being so different and also having red hair, which is
Mhm.
amazing, was this all coming easy for you to embrace that?
You know, it's really interesting because my mother came from a very small town and the world was very black and white, and she's very Catholic. And she let go a lot of those rules. And I don't know if it was just with me or if she decided to let it go. Because the story that I will tell you most about my mother letting me be me is for First Communion. If a lot of you don't know what that, if you didn't grow up Catholic and you're not sure what that is, First Communion as rite of passage of a child in the in the Catholic service, where they receive the body of Christ, the Eucharist, for the first time. And it's a big deal in the Catholic Church. Is a big deal. And so I didn't know of any rules around this. And she asked me what color I wanted my dress to be. And I told her green. And she said, okay. And then she asked me again a few days later, and I said, I wanted a green dress. And she said, okay. So we showed up on First Communion Day, and all these little girls were wearing white. And I had a green dress, and I was looking at all of them, and I thought, wow, how come all of you chose to wear a white dress? You know, that was like one of those rules. So I don't know if my mom let me do that because we had these beautiful robes that we wore. I will always remember my mother allowing my First Communion dress to be green. She let me be me
Wow.
in front of
And how
everyone.
beautiful is that? She was actually really asking you for what you would choose. She did not give you the package of normal,
Right.
where
She didn't.
you have to wear a white dress. Which white dress? She could have asked you, which white dress would you like to wear?
She could have, yes.
Right? But
Yeah.
she asked you, what color would you like your dress to be? And she totally allowed this wide open space of you to choose. And this is such a beautiful story, like where she was literally giving you like a gift, the gift of choice. It's like, wow, how many of you out there, imagine you had somebody in your life at young age who would have asked you, like, without giving you first the to swallow package of norm, just ask you for what you would like. What would you like? What would you like to wear? Where would you like to go? What would you like to learn? What do you know? Like things like that are wide open questions. How beautiful is that? That's a great gift that she gave you.
It
Yay to
really
your
was.
mom.
Yep. And as I look back in my life, because, you know, as we are children and we are growing up, especially as we become teenagers, we put our parents, especially our mothers, in a particular container. And we do that so that we can break free from our moms, so we can, you know, get our independence, whatever. And as we look back in life, and we look back through life with the eyes of adults, and we look back seeing different things and different choices and different ways, I see where I had so much freedom. I had so much room to grow and to learn to express myself, because I never fit in. I never ever fit in. I spent 1 year of my life fitting in, and that was in my early 20s, where I joined a clique of gossip girls. And I wanted to fit in so badly because I thought, well, I've never done this before. I'll do this. And it was just miserable, because you know what? There's a lot more to talk about than about saying something nasty about somebody else. There just is. I mean, you know, there's puppies and there's flowers and there's plants. Oh my God. I always thought that I drew a conclusion that I had a black thumb because my mother always said that she had a black thumb. She couldn't grow anything. And when I moved to the Middle East, I wanted something to do. And there were all these beautiful exotic plants and all these beautiful exotic colors. So I went down to the nursery. There was just one right down the street. I met the Indian guy there that worked there. And I used to go every day, and we would talk, and he introduced me to plants. And don't get me wrong, some of them I killed big time, and a lot others I didn't, and they grew and they had these wonderful scents, and I would show up again. And one day my favorite plant had been burned by the sun, and he said, don't worry, miss, I will help you. I will fix this for you. And you know, when you don't think that you fit into a box, like I never thought I was an artist. You know, I didn't think I could draw a straight line. Guess what? An artist is really helpful if you don't know how to draw straight lines.
Well, a straight line will not do any good, really, right?
If you're an architect, a straight line is important. However, as an artist, it's just the thing. It's just one of the,
you know, like even that is a conclusion when somebody says, I'm not an artist, I cannot draw a straight line. Yes. What does this even mean? Have you learned that your line must be straight, or when you were coloring books that you must stay within the confinement of this design that you are coloring? What if you don't? Like if we talk about the great expressionist artists, even well, or let's talk about Jackson Pollock, or like
Mhm.
these people that were changing the norm
Mhm.
of how to paint. Like, talk about that. Tell them to stay within, like, draw a straight line, or like, can you not please stay within the confinement of your design? It's like, I don't think so. But that is this
Mhm.
like, what if we stop trying to be norm L and norm Ellie, norm L and
I
norm,
like that word, normelli. I like that. Let's stop being normelli.
right? When we stop and trying to be that, but really function from the space of what would be joyful for us, what would work for us. Like just you talking in the beginning about making a different choice. This
Mhm.
is possible. It's like, you know what? I'm not choosing this anymore. So I'm changing this. And how can I change this? And what else is here? And so what if we just start a question like, okay, I have always been wearing red in my life.
Mhm.
Now, what other color would be fun for my body? Or what class can I take that
Mhm.
will change the energy and inspire me to something different? Because, newsflash, you are different, you are unique, you are one of a kind. There is no one else like you, really. And play, you can, another beautiful thing to play with other than color, like a colorful full scarf or something,
Mhm.
you can play with jewelry.
Yes.
In the Arabian countries, oh my gosh,
Yes.
or even in Africa too, and in other
Yes.
African countries, North Africa for instance, they have beautiful gold jewelry that is
Mhm.
intricate, and there's a lot of design.
Mhm.
Like, look, maybe, what if you start looking at that? What would be fun for you?
Mhm.
What would you suggest to our viewers, our listeners, about how can they start to explore that if they have never thought about it, never embraced their difference?
Mhm. One of the very first things that I started doing is once a week, I would take myself out on a date. Because you know how when you take yourself out on a date, you look nice and you smell good and you're definitely walking out as your best self. And so when you go on a date by yourself, you dress to please yourself, however that is, and you get to go pick whatever you're going to do. There is nothing that you have to do. There's nowhere that you have to go. You let yourself explore. One of my very first dates that I ever went on for myself is I was really in a stage of my life where I was finding fun pajamas, fun lounging, because some of them were really, really elaborate, like negligees, like Lisa wore on Green Acres. And then some were just Mickey Mouse, and it was just so much fun to go out and find a fun pair of pajamas. What did that look like? What did that feel like against the skin? Because one thing about color too, it's a word that we hadn't mentioned yet, is there's a lot of sensuality that goes with it. There are, I have seen women who just ooze sex appeal wearing a very basic beige and a tan because that's what really suits them. And I've seen other women, with red and green and purple and, whatever colors, or a woman who's simply wearing black. And as you go on this date for yourself and find out what food you really like to eat and you really savor it, and what new beverage you'd like to try, and maybe you go look at some art, or maybe you're just looking at the clothes, because clothing themselves in higher end clothing stores are very, very colorful. They're very inspiring. You can get ideas and creativity. You might buy a new piece of something that you put in your wardrobe. You go look at jewelry, because yes, there's a lot of gold in Africa and in the Middle East. However, there's all these other colors too.
Mhm.
I in Dubai, a lot of people from Nigeria go to Dubai, and all these women had these beautiful scarves that they wrapped around their heads, and they were wearing these beautiful clothes, just was so colorful. And I was sitting in the bathroom, because the bathrooms were like lounges. The toilets were way over there, and there were all these lounging chairs over here. So, I was kind of tired from walking around in the mall for quite some time, and I sat there and I went into conversation with these women. They spoke English, and I said, wow, I'd really like to know how to tie a scarf like that around my head. And they showed me. So, if you're all of a sudden you get an idea to ask a question, ask it. I mean, your guidance, we all get this guidance. There's so much magic in all of our lives when we listen and act and take a choice. And you don't like that one, make another one.
Yeah, that is really cool. Like, to make that, take a day, or if it is only half a day or something, where you go out and sort of play, and you allow the universe to bring you things that might be so different. Or, what could this be that could inspire you? And, another cool thing to choose is colorful velvet ribbons that you can tie around your neck. And then you can adorn them with beads, or you can put a pendant on. That was actually another fashionable thing. I think it was Chanel who did that, with a pearl in front, just hanging down from the velvet ribbon that you would just tie around your neck. Like, how sensual is that? How playful is it? And what could it be? Like, doing something different, right?
Right. And if you don't like the first thing, try something different. If you like the first thing, do that and find something different. Play.
I know, right?
Play. Yeah, just play. Cool. Like, you remember when you were a little girl. That's why I really have embraced, with myself and my clients in my life, I've really embraced that word sass, because sass was something when I was a child. Sass was bad. It was a little girl who was talking back. She's being sassy. And then many years later, a friend of mine, she made sassy sound like a lot of fun. She said, sassy is how she used to say it. And sassy is bold and brazen and creative and take charge. That's what sass really means. And go for it. Go for it. Just go for it.
That's really funny. I'm not from the United States. So very often I will encounter words that I have not heard before, or that I cannot even translate literally. And so I'm embracing just receiving a word. And so when I heard the word sassy first, which I had not while learning English in Europe, for me, it has this energy of like that there's a richness, it is round, it is also changing. It's like a big round space of anything is possible, which is also one of your mottos. Anything is possible, right? So sassy, like, what if, are you all guys, are you all willing to be the sassy you truly be, and explore what that could even be for you? And you might find it's like the weather, it's different. What if you are like the weather and it's different every day, every moment, it changes? Like, how much have we tried to conclude what the weather is going to be, and then we are getting all mad if it starts raining and it was not in the forecast. What if you are willing to not be in anybody's forecast, but you are the sassy you that can change and change on a whim, actually, and throw around your neck this beautiful, intense turquoise scarf, and to start flaring up your entire universe. Now, Lisa, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Where do people find you? And also, you have a program that you are offering, and where do people find that?
Right now, you can check out my website. That's Lisa, Lisa Grunden, GRUNDEN.com. That's lisagrunden.com. The Finally Free Forever, Finally Thin Forever program is just about to launch. And you know what? We just have fun. We just get together. We have fun. We challenge normal. We challenge our beliefs, because if I go back real quick to the weather, I've lived in many places that say, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes, it'll change. What if we did that too? Except every 10 seconds. Because I know that's one of your things. Every 10 seconds.
Yeah, I love
Even
that.
the weather changes.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, the weather never tries to be normal. The earth, you know, is not normal. What
Yeah.
is this entire thing of normal? So let's start questioning it. Lisa, I'm so grateful you came here on the Monday Morning Inspiration. Is there a last thing that you would like to say to everybody?
You know what? Yes. And the last words that I would just like to leave you with, which just haven't come to my tongue yet, is the energy of it. It's just, you know, be you. Just be you. Because you are the biggest gift that most of you don't even know you are. Just be you. Unwrap you. Every day, unwrap you.
Everybody find Lisa Grunden and her website at lisagrunden.com. Check it out. Check out her programs and classes, and, you know, be inspired. Yeah, thank you so much, and
Thank you
keep
for inviting me.
creating.
Yes.
You are so welcome. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.